Hey 36 fanatics, Steven here. Today I'm going to talk about BMW reliability, and especially going into 2020, the modern age of BMWs, kind of what's changed over time, and then I'm going to mention the recommendation that I have going forward with modern BMWs and kind of looking at whether to buy them or lease them and what to do with them. So BMW historically, if you've seen any of my videos on this channel, most of what I work on is E36 BMWs and E46 BMWs. Now those are older model BMWs, 3 Series at this point. They ran from about 92 to I think E46 stopped in 2006. So they've got some serious age on them at this point. But it was also a time where BMWs were a whole lot easier to work on and repair than the BMWs you're looking at now with the G20s and the F30s. The BMWs at that time, going into the E36s and E46s, yeah, they had a lot of plastic components, but there was a lot less electronics to them, and they were a lot easier to maintain. And that's why you still see a lot of E36s on the road today, even though like this vehicle right here is about 25 years old now. It's got 160,000 miles on it, still runs great. I mean, yeah, these vehicles need repair from time to time, but as long as you maintain them right, they run for a very, very lengthy period of time. Now you fast forward to modern BMWs and the increasing use of plastic components in the engine bay and more electronics, where BMW is focusing more on the luxury part instead of the ultimate driving machine aspect of the vehicles. And you're looking at a very, very different world. BMWs nowadays are ranked as one of the least, or frequently ranked as one of the least reliable vehicles. You buy one new off the car lot, a couple years later the price has been slashed like crazy because they devalue extremely quick. And there's two major reasons for this. First, BMW isn't unique in this aspect. All other car manufacturers do this a lot more than they used to, but plastic parts, BMW tends to take it a little more to the extreme, putting really weak plastic components under the intake manifolds. They've been putting coolant lines under the intake manifolds since the E36s and the E30s, but the difference is they use plastic hoses now in the newer model vehicles, and they of course crack from the heat over time, and then you got to pull off the intake manifold. It's very expensive to maintain these newer vehicles. And the second big thing is Mercedes, BMW, and all the other luxury vehicle companies seem to have this competition going on to see how many electronic sensors you can pack into the engine bay and pack into the passenger area. And that's great and all for the driver and for the passengers for a couple of years while they're working. Once these sensors start breaking down or having issues, you rack up big bills very, very quickly. And that's why you'll see a BMW 3 Series go off the lot, go off the dealership lot for $50,000, $60,000. Only 6 years later to be under $8,000, to be worth under $8,000. Why is that? It's because once these cars hit a certain mileage marker or a certain amount of years, things just start going wrong, and you end up blowing so much money at the mechanic that it's not even worth to keep the vehicle anymore. So, like I've said, BMW over the years, it's the vehicles, you know, they're amazing vehicles to drive as long as they're in good working order, and they're also very, very safe vehicles. And so they're great vehicles to own for the first couple years right off of the lot. The first, 60, 70,000 miles right off the lot, they're great cars to own. But after that, they absolutely suck. So that's why I strongly recommend to anybody who's interested in buying a newer BMW or new BMW off the lot, I strongly recommend to just lease the freaking thing. That's what most people do nowadays in a lot of other countries, and that's more and more people are doing that in the United States. Instead of buying, a new BMW for $60,000, $70,000, you just lease it. Now, it's not worth it to lease a lot of other vehicles. You're leasing a Toyota Camry or something, or a Honda. There's no point in doing that. You're going to lose money. You're going to lose money because they depreciate much slower than a BMW. But BMW, on the other hand, because they depreciate so quickly, you're going to end up saving so much money from just leasing the thing. And if it ends up being a trash heap that breaks down a lot earlier than it should, well, it's not your problem because you're only friggin' leasing it. So that's why I strongly recommend, if you're interested in a newer model BMW, just lease it. You don't have to you get all the fun and enjoyability out of driving a BMW, but you don't deal with any of the headaches of having to own a BMW. Another thing is, I hear some people get really excited sometimes about buying a BMW with a ton of mileage on it. 100,000 isn't a ton of miles for most vehicles, but for a newer model BMW, to me, anything past the E46 series, that's a lot of mileage on a BMW because stuff starts going wrong like crazy. So people will buy, a BMW with 120, 130,000 miles on it and think they got a great deal because they only paid like $5,000 for it. Well, you didn't get a great deal. I understand that the car came off the lot being worth $60,000. It's been a couple of years and it's only worth $5,000. But the market understands that these cars have lots of problems, so they factors into the price of the vehicle. So yeah, you might only be paying $5,000 for 2012 BMW, but on the other hand, it's got high miles on it. You're going to be racking up mechanics bills that are going to quickly go over the price you paid for the freaking thing in the first place. Now, there's an exception to that rule. E36s, E46s, vehicles like those, I think, are amazing cars. I buy them all the time I used to buy them with over 100,000 miles on it. But I also knew how to work on them, and they're not very difficult to work on. But on the other hand, these cars are getting old at this point. They're becoming more of an enthusiast vehicle, not really a daily driver so much anymore. So, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.